Welcome back to another video, and today we've got something a little bit different. I've been absolutely blown away with the support, the questions and the conversations we've been having around the Gears of War E-Day. So I wanted to sit down and answer as many of your questions as possible. From the weapons, movement, controls, multiplayer, horde siege, attachments, enemies and everything in between, this is your chance to hear my thoughts from my time playing the game. Now, I want to make one thing clear. I only had a limited amount of time with E-Day, so this isn't me pretending I know everything about the game. This is my honest first impressions and things that stood out to me and the things I loved. How did you get an invite in the first place? Not to throw shade, but you're new on the scene and your videos are really good and just wondering how it all works with TC with a love heart. So basically, there's no shade taken at all. I'm honestly just incredibly grateful for the opportunity. I've been creating Gears content consistently now, putting a lot of time into making the best videos I can, and I think that passion has been noticed. I also do think my 30 videos may have found their way into the Coalition office, but yeah, I'm very new compared to a lot of the creators on this platform, and honestly, it means a lot. Other creators reaching out, sharing love, just seeing everyone getting involved in the discussion. It's helped build this community it is today. The support that you all show on every video genuinely makes a difference, and you can tell that from us actually getting invited. So thank you once again. Can you elaborate more on the weapon attachments? Absolutely. From everything we've seen so far, the attachment system looks like it's been designed around player choice rather than player builds. Weapons can be customized with attachments like different sights, optics, muzzle devices, stock grips. Each attachment changes how the weapon handles, whether it's recoil, accuracy, ADS speed, stability, reload speed, magazine capacity or mobility. The key thing that they're built around is the trade-off system. If you're proven in one area, you're usually going to sacrifice in another. The Coalition has also said that they're aiming to keep the gameplay balance. So the attachments are not there to give you a huge advantage. It's more tailored to your playstyle. For example, if you prefer close range fights, you're going to be building a weapon for faster handling. But if you like holding lanes, you're going to prioritize the abilities of accuracy. It's like sniping down lanes. You want better accuracy. I will be making a more deep dive look at weapon attachments, so do keep an eye out for that one. Tell me about the charge up on the incinerator. I want to melt people. Big love, bro. Big love to you too, lad. You'll definitely be melting a few people. The charge up on the incinerator actually feels really satisfying. It's not overly long and you stood there waiting forever, but it's not instant either. There's just enough of a wind up that it adds a layer of skill to use it. The biggest thing with it is chiming. If you're pushing a corner, you've got to anticipate that someone may be there, so you want to be charging up a little bit early, but not too early. It's one of those weapons where game sense and prediction really plays off. Another cool feature that I did feel with the weapon is you can actually lead your targets. So if someone's walking across your screen or going from cover to cover and they're far enough away, you can aim slightly ahead of them and they'll walk into the stream of the projectiles as they travel. Once you get the real feel and the speed and the timing, you can catch people trying to escape or basically trying to push you. What game is it similar to? It's a great question. And honestly, it's going to be one of those games where everyone tries to compare it to something else, because that's what gamers generally do. We naturally look for something that's familiar to explain a new experience. But in my opinion, Gears of War E-Day just stands on its own. You can definitely see where it comes from, the weight, the cover, the brutal close range fights, the iconic weapons. But it does feel like the Coalition has taken the foundation of the classic Gears and evolved them into something more accessible and fun for everybody. There are definitely little similarities to other games. The movement has a smoother, more modern feel that reminds me of a little bit like Fortnite in terms of how responsive and fluid it feels. But the overall movement and the flow, I personally got a lot of vibes from Arc Raiders, even Rogue Company if they remember that game with its 4v4 structure. Not because they play the same, but because they have that feeling of the tactical movement, positioning and reading fights and working with your team. It's all very important to them games, and I think it's the biggest thing with Gears of War E-Day. I just don't think it's going to be the next Fortnite or Arc Raiders. It's still going to be Gears of War. The DNA's still there. It's just all been refined and evolved. You probably will see a lot of creators say it's just like this game or it's just like that game. But I think the better way to look at it is that the Coalition is taking an inspiration from modern gaming while keeping what made Gears special. What don't you like about the PvP? It's a great question. Honestly, after playing the PvP, the biggest thing I would say is I'm not 100% sold on the 4v4 format, but I also do want to be fair because I only had around 2 hours total with the PvP, so I definitely haven't experienced it all yet. From that short amount of time, the maps felt like they were designed with 5v5 in mind. There were moments where 4v4 worked amazingly, really well, but on certain maps, it felt like we were stacking too many players in certain areas. A load of people fighting on one location and the rest of the map felt empty at times. That being said, I do understand that they started Gears with the 4v4 at its core. It's always had that tighter, more team-focused style of multiplayer. Smaller teams make every decision matter more. Every player has a bigger impact overall of and around. My theory is that as the game moves into future seasons, we could potentially see 5v5 return or other modes that experiment with larger team sizes. More team players is always exciting for me, but it has to be done in a way that keeps things balanced, pacing and the identity of Gears all intact. What was the best weapon? This is a tough one. I'm a massive explosive guy, so you already know I love everything that goes boom. I actually had to think about this one because there are a few weapons that stood out, but I genuinely think my favourite is the new gut puncher. The first time I used it was wait, this is ridiculous. The whole idea behind it is to push players out of cover and create pressure, but in practice it felt incredibly powerful, maybe too powerful. It almost felt like I was using it like a Gnasher at times, getting up close, just enough distance so I don't kill myself, but making a huge impact. I do think it might need a little bit of balancing, maybe looking at the armor count or slightly tweaking how often you can actually use it, because in certain situations it did feel overpowered, but at the same time it's very, very fun to use. So I won on the giveaway, yeah, but I want to help you give more. How do I help? Thank you once again. Congratulations first and foremost. Again, thank you so much for wanting to help and be part of this journey of mine. There are actually loads of ways you can support. You can obviously subscribe, leaving likes on the videos. It helps massively. But the biggest thing for me is commenting. Commenting. I'm not just trying to build a channel, I'm trying to build a community around my passion, Gears of War. The comments, the discussion, sharing your opinions and having those back and forth conversations is what makes this place feel special. Whether you agree with me, disagree with me, have a theory, want to talk about weapons, maps, or just share the hype for E-Day, that's the stuff that helps this community grow and what makes people want to be part of it. Once we do hit 1,000 subscribers, we will unlock more YouTube features and do bigger things with the channel. So if you do want to help support future giveaways and more community events, getting involved is the best way you can do it. Seriously, thank you so much for all the support. Every single person watching, commenting and sharing is helping us build this community. Did you get any time to check out the controls, like what is the climb and roll button controls? Okay, so this is one of the biggest things I was actually interested in testing, because the controls have always been a huge part of Gears. For years I've played on legacy controls, so going into this I wanted to challenge myself and spend some proper time with the default control scheme, see how it actually felt. And honestly, it took a little adjustment, but I was very impressed. Having separate buttons for dodging, roll and climbing, alongside sprinting being its own dedicated input, it actually felt so refreshing. It sounds like a small change, but it feels more natural. A lot of us who've played Gears for years, we've always had that moment like we need to retrain my brain picking up a new game for Gears. The controllers have always been different. But with E-Day, the controls feel much closer to what players expect from modern shooters while still keeping that Gears identity. Analog sprinting feels natural, movement actions have their own dedicated buttons, and it removes some of that initial barrier for some new players. I also spent time setting up my controller with the extra panels and buttons and mapping everything exactly how I wanted. And once I got it dialed in, it honestly made the game feel so much more personal, and it let me play it the way I wanted to. Overall, very impressed with the control system. It still feels like Gears, but it feels like a more evolved version of Gears. I'm definitely excited to keep experimenting as we get closer to the beta. 2 questions nobody seems to ask. 1, is bot walking meta here like Gears 5? And 2, is pop shooting meta like Reloaded/Gears 4? The classic bot wall style is still there in some ways. If you want to slow things down and stay composed and rely on your aim, you absolutely can. Especially when you see people flying around the map. Sometimes just calmly walking, taking your shots can catch people off guard. But the big thing is the new movement options change the gameplay massively. With the climbing, the vaulting, the extra ways to move around the map, players can get around you much easier than before. If someone knows exactly where you're holding, they have a lot more options to challenge you, flank you, or just force you out of that position. So while bot walking is still possible, I don't think it'll dominate in the same way, because the game gives you way more options, way more tools to break those setups. Once you get your hands on it, you'll understand exactly what I mean. And to the second question, yes, pop shooting is still definitely there. I didn't spend lots of time purposely testing it because honestly I was busy with all the other mechanics and the other things, recording, etc. But naturally during fights, I did find myself doing it and I was landing shots. The classic Gears feeling of quick snapping out of after cover, it's definitely still there. It's still part of the skill gap and it's something experienced players will 100% use. But overall, I think what is exciting is the Coalition have removed any of those techniques. You can still play that traditional Gears style, but now there are just more ways to approach each fight, creating openings, and outplay your opponents. I'm really interested to see what competitive players discover. Will you be doing community nights when the beta drops? Absolutely. This is the whole point of our community. Community nights are definitely happening when the beta drops. One of the biggest things I want to build with the Buttes isn't just a place where people watch videos. I want it to be a proper Gears community where everyone can jump in, play together and share the hype. We'll be hosting different events, including giveaways, community game nights, hordes, survival sessions, even some PvP leagues for even the competitive bunch who want to test themselves and show what they've got. There will be some big prizes up for grabs as well, and the more the community grows, the more we can develop these events into something even bigger. The most important thing for me is building this around what you guys actually want. I don't just want it to be my ideas, I want everyone involved in sharing feedback and suggested events and finding teammates to help shape what the Buttes actually become. Whether you're a sweaty competitive player, someone that wants to jump into Horde, or someone who just loves chatting Gears and sharing 30s, there will be a place for you. The beta is just the beginning. I can't wait to get everyone together and start building something special. Are berserkers in it? And if you put the bayonet on the shotgun, can you do a bayonet charge like the Lancer MK1? Great questions. So are the berserkers in the game? I actually didn't see any berserkers during my time with the game, but I also want to be honest and say that I didn't get much time as I would have liked with Horde Siege, so there could definitely be things I haven't encountered yet. From what I did play though, there are already lots of really cool enemies designs that bring back that classic Gears feeling while adding something new. And can you bayonet on the Gnasher? Yes. This was actually such a cool little detail. The weapon attachments are really nice additions, and the fact that you can put a bayonet attachment on the Gnasher and use it for a charge attack is such a Gears thing. It feels brutal, it fits perfectly with the more aggressive close range style of the game. It gives you another option when you're pushing into fights, but like everything in Gears, it's all about timing. How many enemies have you seen besides boomers, drones, wretches, and tickers? I actually saw quite a few new things, and some of them genuinely surprised me. The biggest ones with the Reavers, honestly, they might be the nightmare fuel in this game. Those big long legs and the way it moves around are all just creepy to me. It really captures the horror side of things that the Locust bring to E-Day. Seeing them again with the darker, more imitating presentation was just awesomely creepy. Also, the new frog enemy, oh my lord, this one with its different movement style, it's just cool, it's fast, aggressive, and sometimes if sometimes it looks cute. I'm just gonna say it looks cute. I've said it. The boomers were another big highlight as well, especially in Horde Siege. They feel much more like heavy tanks they were supposed to be. They so-called load more damage, they feel threatening, and there are different variants like the multi-boomer and other versions that change how you approach each fight. Overall, I love what the Coalition is bringing back to the same enemies with a fresh coat of paint. How feels sprint on left stick? Default for me feels weird and a natural choice of the leg scheme. Okay. So this is one of them things that I was really curious about. The implementation of sprinting in Gears of War. I spent years on legacy controls, and at first, sprinting on the left stick felt definitely weird. Your muscle memory just fights against it. Gears of War has always had that unique control style where you almost have to retrain your brain compared to any other shooters. So moving away from Legacy felt strange in the first few games, but after giving the default controls a proper chance, I actually understand why they made the changes. Having sprint on the left stick does feel natural for other new players that coming from modern shooters. Having inputs and like separating the sprinting, the dodging, the rolling, the mountain climbing, gives each movement its own dedicated input. The biggest thing I did notice, it lowers the barriers for new players. So someone picking up Gears for the first time won't have that initial, why do these controls feel so different moment that a lot of us had years ago. That being said, I completely understand why legacy players love the old setup. Once you spent years mastering the control scheme, it becomes second nature. But the good thing with E-Day, it gives you the freedom of customization and finding what works for you. Have you ever wondered how long it would take for a giraffe to throw up? No. But I feel like I now need to know. You've created a problem. Either HB seems a lot lower or weapons seem pretty strong. And the DBNO time feels pretty long. Do you think you should tweak the DBNO? Okay. Overall, I think that the weapons feel in a really good place. The time to kill feels very Gears, and when you win a fight, it feels like it does come down to position and accuracy and making the right decisions rather than just who saw who first. The one weapon that I did feel it needed a little bit of tweaking was the Lancer. I don't think it's far off at all. It might just be literally a few bullets away from being perfect. But compared to the other weapons, it felt like it was struggling a little bit. One thing I did notice was a lot of players were naturally leaning towards the snub/Gnasher combo instead of relying on the Lancer, and that says a lot in Gears, because it should be the reliable option, especially controlling fights and supporting your team. That Lancer should be the reliable rifle. As for down but not out time, I actually didn't mind it too much. I think it fits with the idea that Gears is all about teamwork and making smart plays. If you get caught out in the open without proper movement and awareness, you should be punished. But having that extra time gives your teammates opportunity to save you, and it creates those iconic Gears clutch moments. I wouldn't want them to shorten it too much because those last seconds revives, escapes, and team plays are a huge part of what makes Gears multiplayer special. Do you think we'll see Ram and the other big head Locusts? Honestly, I don't think we will see Ram or any the big name Locust characters in E-Day. And personally, I think that's a good thing. If the Coalition are using E-Day to tell the story of the early days of the Locust War, then this is the perfect opportunity to explore new stories, new characters and new threats. We already know the future of some of the new characters, so bringing everyone back straight away would just take away what makes that era feel special. Now, if the Coalition are planning on a bigger journey with E-Day and potentially a new trilogy, potentially exploring the early Gears stories, then I absolutely could see some familiar faces like Ram returning in the future. A 5v5 multiplayer mode instead of a 4v4 would be much better. I completely understand why people are asking for 5v5 because I do think it would add another layer to the experience. That being said, I also understand where the Coalition has started with 4v4. Gears has always been about tight team play, communication, and every single player having an impact. Starting with 4v4 gives players a chance to start, learn the new movements, the mechanics, the weapons, without everything getting too chaotic. Like I mentioned earlier in the comments, I definitely see them expanding the player count in the future. I wouldn't be surprised we see 5v5, 6v6 or even bigger modes down the line. Look at Horde Siege. You already are seeing a map handle a huge amount of action, multiple players, enemies, objectives, chaos happening all at once. If the coalition can balance that much enemies and systems together, then the possibilities for multiplayer are massive. And I think right now they're probably watching closely, seeing what we're giving back, feedback, getting the foundations right before expanding. Once the first season starts rolling out, I think we'll see a lot of growth. New maps, new modes, potentially bigger player count experiences. The exciting thing is, it still feels like they have a ton of room to grow. They're not just rushing everything out all at once, they're building the foundation and seeing where the community takes it. Really want to know if the bullets come from center screen when you hip fire or the barrel. So I did my best to test this during the time I had with the game, but obviously it didn't have hours and hours to sit there and run controlled experiments. From what I could tell though, the majority of the shots felt like they were coming from center screen, especially when hip firing. From what I experienced, Gears of War E-Day uses center screen aim system for hip fire, so your shots are generally going to where your crosshair is aiming rather than you purely from your weapon battle from the older Gear titles. However, there is an interesting twist. If your weapon battle is physically touching an enemy, it'll still register that point blank chunk, regardless of exactly where your crosshair is centered. That makes that close-up Gnasher fights, it makes them feel much more consistent. So in my opinion, we're dealing with a hybrid shooting system. At range it feels center screen focused, giving you more predictability, consistency shots. Up close, the battle action still comes into play, preserving that classic Gears feel while getting right into your opponent's face. I actually think it's a really smart approach. It keeps gunfights feeling fair and consistent while still allowing for those satisfying point blank chunks that Gears is known for. It'd be really interesting to see how the competitive community push this system when everybody gets their hands on the game. And that is all the questions that we have for today's video. So thank you everyone getting involved, the love, the support, the comments, the conversations, everything. You guys are helping build this community. And he's give a huge thank you to the Coalition and Xbox for helping me get involved and playing the game early. I hope you did enjoy my feedback. I'll catch us all in the next video. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you all on the next one.